What's up, Shelf Addicts? Welcome back to the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Today on Book Chat, we are covering the third book in the Red Rising saga, Morning Star, written by Pierce Brown. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I am your host, Tamara, and welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, we're going to feed your shelf addiction with fun book conversations, bookish topics, and more. It's like listening in on your favorite book club. Participate in this discussion by joining the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official or over on the Book Clubs app. I hope to hear your thoughts on today's show. You can also find me and Casey on Twitter and Instagram. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support the podcast by sharing it with some book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe before you leave. That will really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing it. The uncut video version of this podcast is available right now over on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including after shows and more. So if you're interested in that at all, you'll need to come over onto Patreon and sign up. As always with Book Chats, we talk spoilers here, so you've been warned. Without further ado, let's begin. Welcome back to another fantasy series discussion. Joining me is my fantasy series co-host, Casey from A Heart Full of Ink. Welcome back, Casey.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a fun one. I know it.
Can you feel it in the air? Can you feel it in the energy?
Feel all the positive vibes, you know?
Yes.
All right, so today we are discussing the third book in the Red Rising saga, aka the end of the original trilogy. That is Morning Star, written by Pierce Brown. It was narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds. It was published February 9th, 2016 by Del Rey and Recorded Books. The paperback comes in at 524 pages, and the unabridged audio is 21 hours and 50 minutes. Casey, would you please share the synopsis?
If this is the end, I will rage toward it. Darrow is the Reaper of Mars, burned to toil, carved to fight, destined to lead. But he is a broken man. Exposed as a red in a world ruled by golds, he has been captured and tormented until he is something less than human. And yet, he's humanity's last chance. In facing a godlike, ruthless enemy, he must call on every last ounce of strength to prove that loyalty, friendship, and love are more powerful than any cold-hearted machine of war. He has been first red, then gold. Now he must transcend them all. He must become the hero his people believe he is.
All right, so you guys, 524 pages, 20 plus hours of listening. There's a lot to talk about. So you should know right now we're not going to get all of it. We are not. It's just impossible. We try to keep it to an hour. So in advance, if we miss something you want to talk about, join us for book club.
Yes.
You can then talk with us about this at the end of the month, and we will have a great time, and you will get all your feelings out about the conclusion to the trilogy. All right. After you closed the book, the final page was read. What did you think?
I fucking knew it.
You fucking knew it? Okay. I knew it too. But the thing is this. I think usually, now, obviously spoilers. Y'all been warned. Spoilers. We're going to jump to the end. So at the very end of the book, we get a big reveal that explains why Mustang did not come looking for Darrow right away. It took her, and of course, everyone thought he was dead on top of that, but she was just incognito for a long time, and we find out why. And I'm like, And I usually, and I'll just say it, I usually hate a baby at the end. I usually hate it.
Yes.
But in this circumstance, it worked because it was kind of off the page. We didn't really know.
Yes.
And then there was a good reason why she chose not to say anything, which was co-signed by his mama.
Yes.
So I loved all of it. I was good with it. I liked it.
Yeah, I figured it out when they were with his mother, and his mother gave him a look and kissed the top of his head and then gave her the look. And he's like, what's going on? What was that about? And she's like, oh, nothing. And I was like, this happened in Red Rising. Mama knows everything.
Yeah. She's like, you're like, what were you guys talking about? Nothing.
No, it was, at that moment, I was like, she's either pregnant right now or she already had the baby. But, you know, they kept having these time jumps and she wasn't changing. So I was like, okay, she's not pregnant right now. Because I was about to get really mad. I was like, did they even have sex? I don't think they did.
I don't think they did when they came back together.
I don't think they did. But I was like, is she pregnant now? Or...
Yeah. It makes sense. And even her motivation for like
everything,
testing him, you know what I mean? Like she wouldn't really trust him 100%. And she was like, you could tell throughout the book, she was getting more comfortable with being around him again. And like,
and he even mentioned that. He was like, she's testing me for something, but I don't understand what. And I was like, what else would a woman test you for?
Well, you know what? She had some valid points. He lied to her for 6 years. He lied to her for years. So even not considering a child, do you want to be with somebody who could lie to your face for 6 years? So she had to decide for herself and her child, like, are you good for me? And can you build for and be good for this kid as well? So I think it was twofold for her.
Oh, absolutely. And it also explained why she was there at the beginning, you know, bartering for peace. Because I was like, Mustang wouldn't just normally give up, you know, even if it's bartering for peace, even if you say all the right things, like, oh, the ships, the people. I was like, there's something else pushing her. And it makes so much sense that she's like, oh, I have to protect my kid now. Oh, I have to do the world for the kid. And also, the other family that protects her, Pax's father and brother. Yes.
Yeah.
They were very, very protective of her, more so in this book than any other time.
Because they're like, our family has our kid.
We have our kid. He's named Pax.
Like so, when the Obsidians kind of like had the golds and they were hanging them, and the father was like, dude, we are coming in there.
He had his army. He was going hard. I was like, he wouldn't normally do this. Like, he's acting like she's his own flesh and blood. Why?
Yeah.
Babies.
But you know, he did. And I don't think it was totally out of character for them to do that because she essentially grew up with Pax, right?
Yeah, no, like they were family, but it felt more extreme than normal. Like it felt like there was more love between them. And the fact that they'd said, you know, after she found out that Darrow was a Red, after he exposed himself and all that, like, she went to them and asked them for help.
Yeah, she wanted advice from them. And you know what? I was right, though. I was right. They wouldn't have shunned him.
Yeah, they would not. They would have embraced him. And that was good. They did embrace him after he came back.
They did. And they didn't even put it on... I guess, obviously, Mustang gave weight to that, but it wasn't only because of Mustang.
No, it was because they fought with him. They worked with him all throughout book 2. Like, they had bonded. And again, now they're babysitting his child.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. As at the... And also, you know, putting on my editor hat right now, this author, Pierce Brown, does... beautiful circular endings. So again, still spoilers at the end, when they're killing her brother, when they're killing him, they're hanging him, he's using the same phrases about the hanging that he did at the very first page of Red Rising. And so I was like, okay, you've been talking about the baby, and this comes full circle together too, because Io had the baby and the baby died, and he keeps talking about how he wants kids. He wants to have a kid. He wants to have a legacy. He wants that. And so, of course, the author is going to give him that at the end.
Yeah. Which, well-deserved. He worked hard for it.
Yes, he did work hard.
They put him through the ringer.
They put him through hell.
Character, Pierce Brown, dragged this dude through the mud. Literally.
The torture he endured.
The torture. He was in a freaking stone table for 9 months.
Oh my God.
They were eating meals
over him,
on top of him. And he was like in this blackness, this darkness. He was talking to himself.
He was peeing and pissing and pooping himself because he couldn't, move.
Yeah. So they tortured him for 3 months and then threw him in the table for 9 months. So a year of that.
Mm-hmm.
He came out pretty well adjusted for a year of that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they did kind of skip over a little bit at the beginning where they're like, okay, we're going to, rebuild your body. We're going to skip a couple months so you can build some muscle. And I'm like, I would still be tortured. I would still be psychologically broken.
But I think the thing that helped him get through that better was the fact that the jackal lied. He didn't have his family.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that helped heal him, I think, faster than anything. Because if he was out of there and then he had to think about his family being dead on top of it.
Oh, yeah. If his family had actually died. Which brings us to Severo. Can we talk about Severo?
Severo is the road dog. He is your ride or die
to the very fucking end.
So what the jackal did was he decided to air a killing of Darrow. Mm-hmm. And everyone thought he was dead except for Severo. He's like, no, I don't believe it. I'm not going to stop looking. Mm-hmm. So he and his little gang of people, they're like raiding places. they're doing all the things trying to find him. Mm-hmm. And of course they got a little nibble. Oh, they're transporting something important over here. Let's go. I think it's Darrow.
And they got him.
They got him. Yeah. No, everyone else just thought he was dead. And his one boy, his one friend
believed forever. But he also found Darrow's old eyes and put them in his own head.
He has his old eyes. And Darrow was like, I forgot how crazy you are, but you keep them, dude. You keep them. He's like, you want them back? He's like, no.
Severo stole the show. Like, I love Darrow. I love Mustang. I love this book. But Severo, oh my God.
He is the best.
He's the best.
I would want him at my back because he is so, and it's crazy because he became the new lead of the Rising. Mm-hmm. His face became that. And he was used to being in charge. And when Darrow came back, it was a hard adjustment for him to step back again. Mm-hmm. And during that whole time, I'm like, please do not F this up. You've got to talk to him. This is your one true friend. You cannot screw this up. And eventually they had to come to Jesus. That involved a fight.
Because they're boys, and boys just have to fight stuff out. And then they can cry. And then they can move on.
And they did. And they came back to the room, and Victor was like, told you it's sorted. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. And everyone's looking like, okay, who's in charge? And, he goes, Darrow's one. And then he says to him, Severo's two. Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing. And then we're off to the races. Like, it really, really begins, I think, the war progresses after that choice is made. Because two people can't lead. Mm-mm. And they were pushing back. Like, Darrow really did not agree with Severo's methods and like his logic because he was in revenge mode.
Mm-hmm. He was still very much kill. Yeah. Everybody's the enemy. Just kill blindly.
Yeah.
And Darrow's like, no, I love people. I trust people.
We can't do that. We can't do it. Like, you want to do what? You want to blow up where? No, we can't do that. Like, no, So he had to reason him down. And as soon as that happened, they were back working like they did back in the day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which I loved. Okay, so fantastic. Can I also just say, this is kind of off of Severo, but I really love Victra. I still love her to death.
Yes. Victra, yes. Love her. That's all I can say.
So, like, the whole time, I'm like, okay, when they gonna hook up? So, she originally liked Darrow, but when you could tell, even in the last book, she and Several were like making quips at each other. I'm like, oh, something's a cooking. And when she comes back to them, they go through this like initiation, almost like a fraternity.
Oh my God.
To join Several in his wolf pack, right? They're like, their initiation was hilarious. They're in the showers, they jump them, they cut the lights out, they make them drink a bunch of alcohol. Ugh. They're vomiting everywhere. It was like a straight up frat. Like they were joining a frat. And it was so funny. And it's just like, after that, they just secretly hanging out here, doing stuff there. I'm like,
Yes. He was making eyes at her. She was kind of like, let's do it. And then, no, let's not do it, but let's do it.
Yeah. It was hilarious. I mean, she even, of course, Darrow also, she has his back eternally. But, essentially, Several said, I need you to go and look out for him. We need him to come back alive, when they decide to split up and go on different ships. And Victor was like, oh, is this the wrong ship? I don't know how I got here.
Oh, no, where's the door?
And Darrow's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, Several sent you. Okay, fine, you're here. But she's the best. They're Several and her are cute together.
Yes.
I ship it.
I ship it so hard. And the fact that, jumping ahead towards the end, she proposed to him.
Yes.
Oh, that was so cute.
She had to, because she dumped him. It was on her to do it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because she's like, I'm too broken or poisonous or whatever. And then she beat her sister almost to death in front of him. And was like, God. See, you can't love me. But then he does crazy shit. And she's like, okay, I can't lose you.
They're both crazy. And that's why they belong together.
Yes.
You know? Can I just say that scene where Antonia does kill, what clown? Was that the name? I can't remember the name of the girl she killed while they were captured.
Oh, it's not Pixie. Thistle?
It was one Thistle. She was with Several and the Howlers, but she went off and she was with the wrong side. So of course she was captured, and instead of, she's threatening, I'm gonna tell everything, I'm gonna tell them, and the next thing you know, and Victra saw it, she's like, she's gonna kill her. They're making a run for the cells. And by the time they get there, Antonia has murdered that woman.
Through the bars. Like, they're in separate cells.
She's
reached
yanking
through
her head, pulling her head and banging them against the bars until her head was decimated.
Yeah.
Because imagine, these golds are strong. They are ultra strong. And so what ends up happening is Victor runs in the cell and basically beats her sister to a pulp right in the face. And even Darrow is saying how she's like using the force of her legs like they were taught to like go in on her face. And it was a pulp. It was like she beat her so bad. I'm like, damn. Several had to pull her off her.
Yes.
Like,
it was insanity.
She would have killed her. I'm like, God damn.
Almost did. Like, The doctors thought that she had been in a ship accident, like a car accident,
like no, she just got her ass beat
by her half sister, which she shot Victra in the spine so she couldn't walk
6 times,
and then she poured acid all over her back and tortured her psychologically for a full year. Everything that Darrow went through, Victra went through too.
Yeah, so I know she wanted revenge on her anyway, but I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. She just couldn't take it. She ran down there. I mean, my God, I can't imagine the frame of mind I'd have to be in to do that to somebody. Like,
well, if you're tortured for a year, I think. I
mean, honestly, she showed a lot of restraint and waiting.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, she did.
Yeah, like when they went for Rogue, Darrow was like, you Prime, you okay? She like, yeah, we can get Rogue first and Antonia second. I'm a team player. I can wait. I'm like, okay.
And then Antonia decided to run away.
Yes, her ass ran away, and that caught up to her at the end, though.
And
it did. But there's so much action, so
much.
many things. I love it. I loved how honestly, Pierce Brown is a stellar plotter.
Yes.
Like, for example, I'm going to jump to like the craziest part of the book to me. And there were so many crazy parts, but and of course we jump around. Y'all know we jump around.
That's how we do.
But the part when it seems like, they decide to let Cassius out.
Oh, Jesus, not that moment.
They decide to let him out. He swears he won't do harm. And then he attacks them and gets the upper hand. Now, wait. So this whole thing goes on. It goes on and on and on and on.
Can I just say, when he killed Severo, I screamed into a pillow and started crying because Severo is my man. I love him. Yes. And I was like, Darrow, how fucking dare you trust another gold? We just watched this with Roke. This would never happen. You need to kill Cassius.
Like, did you learn a lesson, motherfucker?
That's what I was saying. I was like, no. You needed to murder Cassius, not let him out.
I know. I was like, he kept saying, you know, this is your choice. You want to do this, Severo? And thinking back, he's like, you sure you want to play this out? You know, they had already decided. So fast forward. And of course, Darrow loses an arm. He loses his hand, his right hand, which we find out later was not part of the plan. No. But we find out that Cassius was playing a role the whole time. I'm like, now look, this is how Pierce Brown tricked us. Yes. Because this whole time we have been privy to Darrow's plans. We've really not been too surprised. I feel like we've been in the passenger seat of his plans. But at this point, the author decided to misdirect the audience. He tricked us.
He absolutely did. He did. Yes. And he kind of told us what he was doing, but in such a way that you wouldn't think about it. So there was that really brief, like, it was barely a paragraph long where they're like, Mustang told us our plan. We laughed at her. We talked about it. And then we left the room. And like, that was all the description we got.
Yes. And we didn't know anything we knew nothing.
And that's why I fully believe that Cassius was evil and needed to be murdered. And I was like, how dare you trust another gold?
I believed it. And he was so like, I will not hurt you. I will leave. He even was like trying to be sad about not getting a hug from Mustang. And then his ass go turn around, you know, shake hands with Severo and then yank
out his gun and shoot him 6 times and there's blood everywhere and I'm screaming like
look, a whole 2 minutes I forgot what happened. I'm like, wait a minute, he died? No, he doesn't die.
That's what I kept saying. But like, I was like, okay, so the chapter right before this chapter was the wedding. And during the wedding, everybody was happy. And I was like, God fucking damn it. Something very terrible and tragic is going to happen. Because you're having this very happy moment. And now one of them is going to die. And then he dies in the next scene. And I was like, I hate this.
Like, I know. And I'm like, poor Victor. You just got
him.
Like, you just got over all your fears. Now he's dead. Like,
no.
But I should have known, because I feel like even though what was happening was like in the now, right? So Darrow was thinking, what to do now? He didn't like have any kind of horrific reaction like I expected. So that should have been a clue to me. Like, he was
I was too much in the zone with him to think about that. But I was screaming at him, like, how dare you trust your friend? We've seen this how many times in how many books now?
I know.
Where you trust somebody and then they still turn around and do this shit to you.
Well, you know, that's the thing. They had this whole scene before that, before the wedding, where, you know, when Roke killed himself, they had to have a funeral for him. And then Darrow and Cassius watched videos in Roke's quarters, and they had memories about the Institute. And it seemed like the blood feud was done, right?
It seemed like,
right. So you had this thing where, well, I guess it didn't work with Rogue, but maybe it might work. Maybe he can get that friendship back with Cassius. And then Cassius turns and does that, which flips the script on all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we find out he's like, how is my acting? He's like, well,
I still lost a bloody hand.
Yeah, he's like, that was not in the plan, but I mean, you had to roll with it. What can you do? You can't say, don't cut off my hand.
I need my hand to kill you later.
I know, but it was genius because that got them right up with Octavia. That got him right in her face. Same with Asha. They were right in their faces, and there were 4 against 2. There was no way. And although Asha, she is like, if you remember from book 2, she learned from the same teacher as Darrow, and she is the best of the best. It's very hard to beat her because hell, even what's his face died.
That made me cry.
I was so sad. I'm like, no. Why? What's his name? It's like
Ragnar.
right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, Ragnar.
So I'm looking in the book at the list of characters.
Thank you. So Ragnar died trying to defeat her. And I'm like, you 3 are about to fucking lose. This bitch is about to win over the 3 of you. And then at the last minute, Cassie is like, throws a syringe at Darrow. He's like, hurry up.
Wake up,
Get up before she kills us. And then he jerks awake like, motherfucker, because he was like in a state that was almost dead. And then he got the jolts of no one's business. Like adrenaline times a million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he jerks awake. He was so dead they actually couldn't feel a pulse. And this is a callback to Red Rising. This was the same thing that they gave Darrow when they snuck him off and everyone thought he was dead.
Yes. Yes. See?
Yeah.
Pierce Brown does these circular endings where, the 3rd book reflects the 1st book in so many ways. And even, the beginning, when Darrow was being rescued from his prison, they gave him a shot of this to help him walk out because he was too weak to even move.
And they're like, we can't. So the people they sent, the 2 siblings they sent for him, they're like, we can't carry your ass. We have something for you. Can you walk? We need you to walk because there's no way. 7 feet or however tall he is in his heavy muscle mass. And even though he's thin at that point, he was still heavy. He's still a gold. He's thin for a gold, but still.
I mean, he's basically a skeleton at this point because he was
emaciated.
But you can't carry that. Not and fight off all of the guards who are coming and make it.
No, dude, you gotta walk. Okay, so let's take a quick break. We're 30 minutes in already.
Oh God! So we're gonna barely scratch the surface of the story.
I know we barely scratched it. We've barely scratched it, but we're going to have a quick break. You guys check out these commercials. By listening to those, you are supporting the podcast. And guess what? If you don't like commercials, you can head on over to Patreon and sign up there, and you can watch us on video, and you can get all the stuff I took out of this episode. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item.
All right, welcome back, guys. Casey, where do you want to go next?
I don't even know. That final battle scene was just so much.
It was epic.
I will say, just random note, I'm surprised Lysander was still alive. I thought his grandmother was going to off him because he was a weakness for her after he got kidnapped at the beginning of book 2. So I just assumed she was cold-hearted enough to kill him. But no, he's in the room learning from her.
But you can also tell that she was kind of bored with him. The way interacted with him, it was like, what's her problem? She got a problem with him.
Well, yeah, like he's 10 and she just doesn't care. And that's why I thought she was going to kill him off, like get rid of her weaknesses. But no, she kept him.
Yeah, well, he's a little older. Was he 10 at the time they kidnapped him?
I thought he was 10 now. I thought he was 8 when they kidnapped him and 10 now.
I'm not sure. Okay, but that kid is smart.
He's very smart.
He's very smart. He was the one. So just to talk about him a little bit, he was the one that after they had taken out his grandmother, he was distraught, obviously, but he was smart enough to figure out, we'll put Mustang, she's a conqueror. She didn't come in here and, annihilate us. She conquered us. It's him speaking. It's him, because of who he is, what he's saying, the fact that he supports that has some weight to what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Even though he's a child.
Yes. But he's still the grandson, and I like that they let him live. I like that Cassius took him under his wing.
I know. But what do you think? Do you think that is good or bad? Because Severo says this is like it's something that's waiting to come back and bite you later. Severo thinks he should have been killed.
I think they needed to keep him alive to prove that they're different. And I think Cassius might be able to help him. And Cassius will, try to shape him into a new Julian.
Okay.
I have to have hope.
Yeah, I hear you. Because he seemed like a good kid.
He was smart and he was good. And again, back when they kidnapped him in book 2, they were like, he was like, oh my God, I love you guys so much. Just tell me what to do. I've, read all the articles about you. He was so in love with Darrow, hero worship in love with, because he was a kid. I still think he has a little bit of that. And so I think, as long as he's nurtured and loved and taken care of, I don't think he's going to come back and try and steal his birthright or whatever. I don't think he's going to come back for the throne.
Well, we shall see. I want to see what happens to him because we know these books continue. And I know there is a very big time jump between this book and the next book, which is Iron Gold. So we'll see him again. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see him again. He's not gone. Because Cassius isn't gone. He let him, I still am shocked about Cassius.
I am very shocked about Cassius. Even when we had that plot twist moment where he was like, how's my acting? I was like, excuse me, what now? You changed? You changed? Roke didn't change, but you changed?
But you did. And the thing is, though, and this is the thing about Darrow, I feel like thinking back to the beginning of Red Rising, that turn with Cassius happened early to me. In my opinion, in my mind, they didn't develop that type of relationship. They were cool. They were on the same team. They liked each other. But were they brother status at that point? It just seemed like Darrow was wanting more than I thought it was at the time that their relationship broke down in Red Rising.
That's what I thought. But then when they were watching the videos, Darrow was talking about how they were brothers, how they thought they ruled the world. And I guess we did just kind of skim over some of those months and those plot points. And so, but the whole time Darrow's like, I killed your brother and you are going to want to kill me for this. And then it did fall apart. You're right. Roke was there for him so much longer.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know. I don't know. You're right.
But what else? There was a secondary reason that turned him, not just Darrow. Because Cassius showed the videos. He's like, you lied. You went in here and killed my family.
Yeah.
It was more, I think Darrow was part of that, but I think it was seeing how Octavia lied about what happened to his family.
Yeah.
I think that was the last straw that kind of made him shift.
Because they had said that Darrow went in and killed his family. The Sons of Ares are But no, like, it was Octavia. It was the government. It was the people he was fighting for.
It was the jackal.
Mhm.
She sent the jackal to do it. And, oh my God.
And then blamed Darrow. But you're right. I don't know. The whole thing.
Their relationship, I'm like, okay, if anyone would have changed, I thought it would have been Rogue. And then we find out at the end that, of course, the jackal, he killed what's-her-face. We knew it. Darrow asked the jackal, the one woman that kind of turned Rogue away from him. Like, Quinn. He was so in love with Quinn. At the time, Darrow looked at the jackal like, did you do something? And he's like, I tried my best. Do you remember that scene? He was so, like, how dare you accuse me? And then we find out he did. He did kill her. Rogue was right there with his back turned, and he killed her. And had he known that is why she died, maybe he would have flipped back too.
I don't know, because Rogue at the end... Rogue is this poet, he's supposed to be, or he feels himself to be this, like, gentleman type, I guess. And at the end, he's reciting poetry. He's saying, if only I could have lived a certain way. I absolutely cannot live, with people thinking me a loser. I can't, live in shame and all of this and that. But then he tells Darrow, like, I turned on you as soon as Quinn died. And, like, as soon as she died. And I was like,
he's like, when did I lose you? It was that.
That's bullshit. Like, when I thought he just turned on Darrow because he was a red, like, that kind of made sense because golds are so... But the fact that he turned on him when Quinn died, that was so early in book 2.
I know.
They were
But
months.
he thought that Darrow used and discarded people. That was his opinion. Like, you're getting your friends killed.
And Darrow's the one person who, like, doesn't want everybody to die. He's the one who keeps track. Like, he keeps an actual tally of all of the lower colors who are dying, whereas all the golds are like, 800 little people, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And Darrow's the one who, like, holds on to that. So it was very... Again, if anybody was going to change, I thought it would have been Rogue, but I think it's absolutely amazing how detailed all of these characters are and how unique all of them are. Rogue and Cassius and Darrow went through the same shit in Red Rising, and all three of them turned out very, very differently. And they have very strong, very different personalities, and they view the world very differently.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Yeah. Character development is so beautiful.
I know. And they did change. They all changed. They all grew in different ways, some for the better, some for the worse. But I do feel like some of the women didn't have as much growth. Like, for example, yes, Victor made growth with her fear and, like, capturing her fear and being able to allow herself to be in a relationship, right? But her core personality is the same. Same with Mustang. I feel like she also had fear of being in a relationship with him. Fear of that. They kind of had similar fear as far as that is concerned. But her core personality is still the same. She's still the smartest person in the damn room. But the men, they seem like they changed drastically more. So, I don't know. There's something I noticed.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. They're not changing. Yeah. They're developed. They're not wilting flowers. They're not damsels in distress. They're kicking ass, but they're not really growing or changing. Like, they are a little bit. They are accepting, like, as a gold, I can't rule everybody. I can't be the supreme leader of the universe because I'm gold. Like, they're accepting reds and they're bonding with reds, but it's still, they didn't have as big change.
As an opposite, though, like, just to be a devil's advocate in here, let's just throw something in for food for thought. So Darrow, when he begins after, when we start, like, he seems a little softer, right? He's down, he's out. He doesn't, know what he wants to do or how to do it. And then he becomes strong again. He gets into his own and he becomes strong. The women, they are strong. They get, but they have to learn to become soft in a way. So it's the opposite.
Yep.
And you know me, I love strong women very much. So I was down for both of them. Both of them I loved. But I'm like, did they have to develop in the way that they had to be soft? They had to accept the relationships. They had to want them. They had to want the kids. But that's just me being critical. I still liked it.
No, it's good to be critical, and it is good to question even stories you love. Like, question everything. Think about what's being done and why. And you're right. Like, why do the women have to soften to the men? Why do they have to soften? And I mean, I hope Victra and Severo have the best relationship ever, and that they just go off and do crazy shit together and, live happily ever after.
Look, that whole conversation, Victor's like, wife, that seems so weird. Husband, what? He's like, and Daryl's like, hey, I think that looks good on you, right? I can see Severo and Victor having like 12 damn kids running around. Like,
I don't know if Victor would want to be pregnant that much.
You know what? She gonna turn into mush. She is like hard on the outside and absolutely gooey on the inside.
Yeah, she is. She absolutely is. Yeah. They're adorable.
I think Mustang's a little harder than her. Like, she presents softer than Victor does, but she has a will of steel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think.
And that comes from her dad and who her twin brother was, and, the fact that she grew up so political and, in politics, and image is everything, and women have to appear to be soft and inviting. And so I think that's what Mustang does, is she just appears soft, but knows.
Which is why she was able to take that spot. I feel like she's more eloquent when she speaks. Like, she is, like I said, she is the smartest person in the room. She gets the same job done, but she's doing it without necessarily force. Like, not as hard as Daryl would go, right?
And that's why he needs her.
They're balanced.
They are balanced.
They're balanced. Yeah.
Yes. And I love it. I love them. I did question myself at one point, like, why do I just trust Mustang implicitly? Like, I never stopped to think, oh God, she's going to turn on him.
Me neither.
I just trusted her.
I just trust her. For some reason, the author did something with her character that just, made us trust her. Now, I know in book club, we had one person that was vehemently against her.
I was thinking about that conversation while reading this, going, why do I trust her? I just trust her.
I do. And even when she was like, there with trying to make a deal, I'm like, well, why is she there? She's always got a plan, right? She said that.
Yes.
She's always got a plan. Even when she was with, quote unquote, Cassius for that short time, when Daryl saw her, was all, she's like, I have a plan, damn it, So I feel like that kind of resonated and stayed with me. So I wasn't thinking, oh, what happened to her? I'm thinking, what is she doing?
Yeah, what is she doing? What's her plan? And her plan is protect my baby.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Honestly, it turned into protect Darrow too. Like, for example, when I think it was Cassius was coming toward them, and she's like, or doing something to Darrow, and she's like, "Stop! I will put you down." She did.
Oh,
she's like,
that's when they were on the ice planet.
They were on the ice planet, and it was clear she will never choose Cassius over Darrow. Ever.
No.
And Cassius was surprised by that.
Yeah.
He thought she wouldn't do any harm to him, but she did. She was like,
shot him in the throat with an arrow.
She did. And it missed something where he can still talk.
It missed his artery by like centimeters. And then I think they did a little bit of
little repair
stuff on him. I was really surprised that he can repair
almost everything. But but she was like not playing. And I'm like, she showed him mercy by not killing him, because she could have killed him if she wanted to.
I think she wanted to.
It seemed like she did, but I'm like, she's too good a shot. That's why I feel like
she missed always it by 10 centimeters. Though.
I know. I know, but you think she intended to kill him?
I think she did. I think he was about to kill Darrow, and she intended to kill Cassius. And then it was
I don't think she intended to kill him. Pierce Brown, tell us. Did she just miss, or did she miss on purpose?
I mean,
did she hit the bullseye? Did she not hit the bullseye on purpose? That's what we want to know.
It was centimeters in his neck. I am surprised.
If you're that good, I feel like that's the level she's working with.
Well, damn. I don't ever want to be around her, or she might try to kill me, or just, not kill me and make me suffer.
But that's how, at that point, I'm like, oh yeah, she still loves the guy's dirty draw. She's like, I will kill you. I'll put you. Well, she said, I will put you down. She didn't say, I will kill you. And she did put him down. He was done.
He was done. Yes.
On the ground. And they got him. That's how they captured him.
They captured him, and they kept him for 4 months.
Yeah. And they didn't do anything bad to him. They let him be.
No, he sat in a normal cell.
Yeah. And even after him trying to attack Darrow's like, oh, put him in a private cell. They're like, what? No, he go with everybody else.
Darrow has the softest heart I've ever seen in anybody. And half the time in this book, I'm like, no, Darrow, you need to kill these people. You need to not be so soft. You need to kill these people. And again, at that plot twist when Cassius betrayed them, I'm like, see, this is proof.
You should have killed
him. And then it turned out that I was wrong. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm just really bloodthirsty.
Well, I think he did learn that you have to sacrifice, because at the end, when, they had the jackal and the jackal was like, I have bombs, I have stuff all over the place. You're going to kill yourself to save these people. Darrow was like, no. And he freaking ripped his tongue out with his own hand. I'm like, oh my God.
He was quoting himself being a digger, like pulling stuff out of the earth. And he's like, I'm just going to shove my hand in your mouth and rip out your tongue.
He just ripped out his tongue, and he knew people had died. So lots of people had died because they had gone off. Some of those bombs that went off.
Millions of people died. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's like, I'm not killing myself. Get the fuck out of here. You're going to stop talking. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my goddamn. We are ripping out tongues and beating people's face in. We are doing the most in this book. And I loved every minute.
I loved every minute of it. Yeah. This was fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a great pick. Thank you for making us read this trilogy.
I'm so happy you liked it. I'm beyond over the moon, because I was like, I felt like this was a risk. This is something that you don't usually read.
Not usually.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it. And the writing style, Pierce Brown has a beautiful brain. I'm in love with his brain right now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's how I felt the first time through and the second time through. I love this just as much as the first time. It holds up. It holds up. And I feel like I could read this again in another 6 years and still enjoy it.
The fact that these books span 6 years baffles me. But also, I really appreciate that he put all of that time into space travel. It's going to take us 48 days to get to Jupiter or whatever. We need to travel another 3 months to get to this place. And I really appreciated that. And it didn't feel like it slowed anything down. I didn't feel like I missed anything when you went, 3 months ago we left spot and now we're here. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, it was great. He's really good at even world building. I feel like the world building was on point without it being overly, so much that you're like, WTF, what is this? It wasn't, his pacing was really good as far as giving us just enough of this, just enough of that. And it just it melded so well.
Yes. Yes, it did.
We have personal relationships, and we have violence and politics.
So
and
many
war
politics.
And betrayal. And there are so many themes packed into these books.
Friendship.
Yeah.
The power of friendship is like, oh my God. Found family. Yes. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like outrageous. And also, outrageous in a good way. But also, I have to give props to Tim Gerard Butler. This guy can read a fucking book. He can read a book, let me tell you. This man, some of the songs that they were singing in earlier books, he was actually kind of singing the songs. He has a great voice. You can tell the difference between Victra and Mustang, and you can tell the difference between Roke and Darrow and Cassius. He changes his voice.
That is amazing.
When he was speaking for the Telemanuses, you can tell when he was speaking from Ragnar and Ragnar's sister.
Ooh.
You can tell. I mean, he doesn't he doesn't falsetto his voice. He just changes it. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing I ever heard. He is very good.
That is amazing.
I would listen to him. If I saw his name on something, I would listen to it in a heartbeat. He's that good.
That's amazing.
But, like most audiobooks, I did need to speed it up, though. Because, I think they talk slow on purpose. I think they do that on purpose. So
I wonder if they slow it down. If they speak at a natural voice, but then slow it down.
Oh, for the final edit? Yeah. I don't know. But I know I don't think I would enjoy it at normal speed because he sounded normal in my brain at 2x.
Oh, wow. Well, at least you got through it in less than 20 hours.
Yeah, I cut it in half. But, I went back and forth between this and the book. And I enjoyed both variations, and I appreciated the audiobook because I knew how to say Severo. I knew how to say Telemanus. I knew how to say Ragnar. And, some of the names were different, but when you hear how the narrator says them, assuming he's saying them the way the author intends them to be said, that helps, I think, a little bit. So I props for the audiobook.
Yay, audiobooks.
Yes.
I'll have to check it out when I do my reread then.
I think you would like it. I really do. I know you're not full in love with audiobooks, but I think if you were to give it a try, I think you would like this version. I mean, he has that deep voice and you could hear Darrow, the Reds kind of almost have an Irish sounding twang to their voice.
Ooh, okay.
A little bit. It sounds Irish to my ear. But the Golds don't. It's gone. You don't hear that at all.
Oh my God. I love voice actors who can do little things like that. I was watching an interview with Mike Myers talking about Shrek and how he picked Shrek's accent. He went Scottish because he was the Scottish are hard workers. And I imagine in this world, Shrek is a hard worker. It was a really interesting interview. But anyway.
Well, maybe it's Scottish. It could be Scottish. I don't know. I don't know. Tell Irish from Scottish. I'm American. I can't tell. But I can tell you it's just enough to the ear where you can tell, we know that a different type of color is talking because they sound a little different.
That is amazing.
Even the pinks, they sound a little softer. When he talks about the pink who open the door. They were trying to get to Roke through the door. Yes. And the pink opens the door and she's smiling.
Yes.
His tone even changes a little bit when, he's describing that moment. I'm like,
I love that. I love when they put all that inflection, just in the regular narration. So it's not just monotone words on a page, but a happy moment. She's smiling. It was a soft moment in the middle of this frantic battle. And oh my God. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to that.
That scene was awesome. They're drilling in. They're it's going to take us 14 minutes. He's like, no. And then the door just opens and they look. It's this little pink holding the button. Come on in.
And then Roke felt betrayed that his slave.
He's oh no. I said, Roke, you dummy. Of course she didn't want to sleep with you or be with you. She was forced to, you idiot.
You think you're this gentleman who's, pining over a dead woman? No, you deserve this.
he felt betrayed by that.
He did, like, but he deserved it.
Look, I'm like, you a dumb one. You a dumb one right now because no. She wants you dead.
Yes, she did.
Said, come on. She rolled out the red carpet for the enemies. Like, oh my God.
Wow.
Anyway. Oh gosh. Let's rate it. Should we rate it?
Let's rate it. There's still so much we can talk about.
I know. And we will. We will in book club, you guys. So join us there. And if you want to leave comments, let us know what you thought. Leave a comment somewhere, anywhere. We'll see it. Just add us and we'll see it. All right, Casey, you first.
I'm giving it 5 stars. This was a beautiful conclusion to this trilogy. Instead, you know how sometimes trilogies kind of peter out at the end, or they're not as good. Like book 1 is really good and the rest aren't as good. No, this one was just as strong, if not stronger. The character development was beautiful. All of the circular endings and the throwbacks to the previous books. You know, yes, I fucking knew it that she had the baby, but that's just me picking up on these notes that he left us. Like, he literally, you know, they made that eye contact, and I was like, that eye contact is exactly what happened in Red Rising. So, baby. So, I love it. I could keep talking about this for hours.
Yeah, me too. I too rated 5 stars. It deserves it every star plus.
Yes.
It's so spectacular, so entertaining, so I found myself immersed in this.
Yes.
It was not easy to pull me away. I wanted to know what is happening next. What now? What else could happen? All the things. So I loved every bit of it. And I do recommend this trilogy for a lot of people. And I remember when we started, I still give the same disclaimer. Like, take book 1, go easy on book 1. Yes, you will see some things that remind you of other things, but I don't think he had found quite his ground quite yet. I think he was feeling things out, trying to see where to go. And I think, you know, he had a plan, but I think to grab attention of others, he wanted things that were familiar.
Yes.
I think.
Also, like, it needed that building escalation, right? And book 1, when they were watching their vids, Cassius and Darrow, it felt like a different lifetime. And I think Pierce Brown wanted it to feel different from the rest of the series. Like, I wanted to be...
It was,
absolutely. Like, it was a very different...
games in book 1.
They were. It was the kiddie war, where they could form all these friendships, and yes, terrible things happened, but they made their brotherhood back then. And somehow that survived 6 years later when Cassius helped at the end. It set the
foundation.
It did.
Yeah, it was a solid. And I know, like, it's easy to be like, oh, this sounds like something Hunger Games. Oh, this sound whatever. This sound that. It's easy to do that, but give it a chance. Because I feel like when you get into book 2, it's going to open up in a way that is unexpected.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yay! Love it! Win for the year. This is a good start.
Win. I'm so happy. We picked a great beginning.
Yes.
I'm feeling good.
Yes.
All right. I think we're going to end there. What do you think?
I think so. I think it's time for our after show. I almost called it a happy hour. Happy hour after show. No, I don't have any alcohol. I don't have any alcohol either. I have water.
All right. So if you're still listening to the sound of my voice, you're going to want to know what we're talking about in the after show. So you're going to want to know we're talking about some book drama, world drama right now. So head on over to Patreon so you can listen right now. In the meantime, we will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to subscribe and like before you go. And we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.
Bye guys. Everybody.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.